Hey, what's up guys and gals? My name is Ricknineg. It is super early today. It is around 7:45 a.m. Let me whine a little bit. No, it's too early. Okay, I'm done. So if you haven't seen my last video, that should give you a clue as to what I'm doing here. So of course I'm taking a flying lesson today, but we had to abort the takeoff for the last two videos. So if you go check those out, that'll give you a good idea of why there's different reasons for both times. And so my instructor was like, okay, we got to get you in the air. So no matter what, he moved things around. He's like, yeah, if you can come at 8 a.m. on Saturday, I can fly. I'm like, hey, I didn't say that, but I was like, I don't want to wake up at 6 a.m., but I don't care. Like, I'm gonna come. I don't want to, but I'm gonna do it because I want to fly, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not complaining. I'm very, very happy that I'm here. He also booked me in for tomorrow. So the first that I've had, like, back to back, he's just like, you just need to be in the air. You just need to, like, practice. You just need to work on things. And the bad thing is the regression, or that's the negative point here. That's what we got to work on. When you don't fly for a bit, you lose practice, and then you regress a bit, and then you have to build up to that point and then keep moving forward. So that's what we want to do. We've already booked out the entire month, just letting you know, of March. And so what that's going to do, that's getting me about 3 lessons a week, which is more than 2. That gives us an opportunity in case of there's a cancellation. We have an extra day in case weather comes up, because again, weather is a big deal. I've had some people are like, well, you can get another school, but it's not just the school. A lot of these cancellations have been with weather, and we can't play God. We just can't change the weather. So that's just, it is what it is sometimes. But other than that, we're trying the best that we can in terms of getting me up there as much as I can. And so, yeah. So hopefully you enjoyed today's lesson. It's going to be really, really, really fun. Hopefully, I think I'm sharp today. I feel sharp. I had a good breakfast. I'm ready to go. It is morning. It's super cold. It's like, for us in LA, it's 43 degrees. That's super cold for us. I know for some people it's like, well, it's -10 here. Well, yes. But there is that such thing as your body adjusts to the temperature, so we're used to warmer temperatures, and so 30 degrees less, it's like if you're used to 10 degrees, we'll go 30 degrees down, kind of thing. All right, we'll see you in a little bit. Let's get flying. Think I'm early. No, it's too early. It's too early. Open up. Alright guys and gals, so a lot of you have asked me, Rick, what does ground instruction look like? How does it look like when your instructor is teaching you? Well, this isn't an official ground lesson, but it is no different from one. What we're doing here, my instructor Sam, is checking on the Aviation Weather Center website. What we're looking at is we're looking at weather. We're looking at turbulence. We're basically seeing if it's a good day to fly. And so what he's going to be explaining to me right now is what wind shear means. We want to make sure, like I said, that there is no severe turbulence, or at least heavy turbulence, so that we can have a pretty safe flight overall. And that's what we're doing here before we set out to fly. This is the first time we did it, because he usually does this before. But since this was such an early flight in the morning, he did it right before we flew. That's the smartest thing to do. Moving, of course, outside to where the planes are, we always do our pre-flight inspection, making sure that everything in the plane is safe. Again, I repeat this in pretty much every video, but I do think it's important to let you guys know how we plan ahead. We plan so ahead. I could definitely skip this in the video, but I think it's really important to let you know that we spent around 20 minutes looking pretty much at every nut and bolt of this plane, making sure it is airworthy, making sure it is safe for us to fly where we need to go, and then we come back safe in one piece. There's no gas station or mechanic shop to pull over in to see if everything's okay when you're up in the air. So we turn the engine on. Before we get moving, we have to do a few things. Over here, we make sure that the flaps are set to 10 degrees. That's what I did right there, as well as making sure that the transponder is set to the correct frequency. This transmits to the control tower and to the people monitoring the radar where our airplane is at all times. And the code is 1200. It basically lets us know that we are in VFR, which is Visual Flight Rules, and that's the way that they identify our plane when we are flying. Now, there are many frequencies that we tune into the radio to talk to different people. While we're on the ground, we talk to the people that are in the ground tower. So I'm setting that frequency. Then once we are ready to go up in the air, we talk to the people in
the tower frequency. So there are two different frequencies there, and that's what we're setting, and we can alternate between them pretty easily. And the last thing I want to show you before we move, I am setting the atmospheric pressure. That depends and changes throughout the day and months. It varies all the time, and so that's important to get the exact barometer number so that we can tell how high we are. That goes along with our altitude readings, and if we don't get that right, we could be off by 200, 300, even thousands of feet. So we got to be really precise when we do that in order to fly safe. One of the things that I could say I'm very much proud of is my ability to taxi with my feet, with the rudder pedals, or basically with the brakes. And I'm really proud because I was never able to keep it on the center line. And if you notice, even if you compare it to my first or second video, you can see there's a basic giant difference in how I am taxiing. You can see that pretty much for the most of this entire taxi. I'm holding it pretty much center line. There may be very small variations, and it doesn't have to be super precise, but you have to be going on the center line. But you can see before I was wiggling and waggling, and it's one of those things where now honestly I'm not thinking and I'm just doing it. And so it's one of those things where I look at these videos and I realize, wow, I'm really improving. And again, these turns are all me doing this, and again, it's pretty cool because what you're doing here, you're breaking the individual wheels. And so what's happening there, if you lose any momentum, your front wheel will turn kind of like a shopping cart wheel, and that can mess up the direction that you're going. It could be really hard to stop. Once you stop, you have to make sure that wheel is pointing forward, or else you're going to spin. And so it is a bit of an art, and I feel like I said that I'm getting much better. I've got to position myself right, pretty much looking at right there, exactly facing the tower, and that's exactly where I should have been. Again, if you watch the previous videos, you can see it was really hard for me to get that, but now it's pretty much like second nature to me. Now we are up in the air, guys and gals. I kind of fast forwarded right through the takeoff. I just wanted to tell you what we were doing here. Again, in pretty much in the beginning of my training, the first few lessons, we did practicing stalls, and so he wanted me to see and make sure that I didn't lose any practice with the stalls. So we did power off stalls. It basically says you go to idle while you're 4,000 feet in the air. You pitch the airplane up until you encounter a stall, and then not enough air is going above or below the wings. You lose lift, and so you begin to drop. You drop a couple hundred feet, and so you learn to recover from that. That's a safety measure. But then again, it was one of those things where we did so many of them that at some point, guys and gals, I just got exhausted. Like physically, my body and mind were just mentally not there anymore. And I told Sam, I was like, Sam, I think we should turn back. After about an hour, I think, of flying constantly doing stalls, pretty much my performance went down. And so I think the best thing to do was to go back, and he abided. He took control of the airplane for the last leg of the flight, and I do thank him for that. But then again, I mean, that's his job. That's what he's supposed to do, and I do appreciate that again. But I could have left this out of the video, guys and gals. The fact that, to be honest, the entire way back to the airport, on our way back for a good 15-20 minutes, I was just kind of sitting there and just chatting with him. I had my hands completely off. I told him I hit a brick wall mentally, and could you take over the controls until we get back on the ground. He asked me, Rick, do you want to land with me? I was like, honestly, I just want to be off the controls right now. And I've never really done that, but it was one of those things where I guess after a month of flying, I hit that wall where I couldn't do any more. So if that ever happens to you, note that you're not the only one.
Alright guys and gals, so I am back from my flight, a little tired, a little exhausted. Funny thing, my instructor and I looked at my last official lesson when I was up in the air, January 30th. Today is the 23rd, 24th of February. A month. That's almost a month since I haven't been flying, and it's crazy because, again, I'm trying to get these lessons up as often as I can. I have a lesson tomorrow. And so that's something to think about. And the reason why I say that, because I went in like gung-ho. I went in flying. I think I did really well. I would say half of the flight. And that is because the first half of the flight, I felt very confident. I felt doing things a little bit overwhelmed, but I was on it. And at one point, I told my instructor, I hit the wall. I hit the wall. really, figuratively, it was like a mental block. And so after that, I was like, you can take over. And so he took over for the rest. But thank you for joining me on this journey. I do appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time. And don't forget, be hopeful.